Think about the kind of childhood where responsibility arrived before language for it did, where you could sense the temperature of the house the moment you walked in. You didn't wait to be told what needed doing, you just knew. Not because anyone trained you, but because you learned to read silence like a second language. There were no gold stars for it, no speeches about maturity. You handled things quietly, efficiently, without making waves. And now, years later, you might be asking yourself a strange question. Why does needing help feel so uncomfortable, almost unsafe? This isn't a personality flaw, it's a pattern, and it didn't start with you. Many parents from the Gen X era grew up in environments where independence wasn't encouraged, it was required. They spent long hours alone, they figured things out early. If something broke, they fixed it. If something hurt, they swallowed it. Support wasn't consistent enough to rely on, so self-reliance became survival. When they became parents, most of them wanted to do better. They were more present, more involved, more practical. But emotional blueprints don't disappear just because intentions change. So instead of passing down neglect, they passed down something subtler, a nervous system rulebook, an unspoken code that said, don't make it harder for anyone. Stay capable. Handle it. You didn't learn this from one big moment. You learned it from repetition. You heard stories about how tough things used to be, how no one helped them, how they managed anyway, how they turned out fine. To an adult, those are reflections. To a child's brain, they're instructions. You weren't just listening, you were calibrating yourself to match what strength looked like in your family. And slowly, without realizing it, you built your identity around coping. Here's how that programming tends to show up now. First, you deal with problems before anyone even knows they exist. You don't announce stress, you don't ask for backup. You quietly troubleshoot, resolve, and only speak once the danger has passed. Not because you don't trust people, but because early on, handling things alone felt praised, even admired. Competence became how you earned safety. Second, giving feels natural, receiving feels strange. You're generous with your time, energy, and support, but when it's your turn, your body tightens. Compliments feel awkward, help feels undeserved. You learned love as something you do, not something you lean into. Third, rest makes you uneasy. Stillness feels like you're forgetting something important. You may sit down, but your nervous system stays alert, like rest has conditions attached. That's because productivity was modeled as responsibility, and exhaustion was normalized. Somewhere along the way, your body learned that slowing down meant falling behind. Fourth, being a burden is one of your deepest fears. You learned early that your parent carried a lot without complaint, so when your needs felt heavy, even if no one said so, you learned to minimize them. You edited yourself. Over time, asking for less felt safer than risking too much. Fifth, you tell yourself you prefer doing things alone, and maybe part of you does, but there's a difference between enjoying solitude and never being shown that dependence can be safe. When you grow up hearing that relying on others leads to disappointment, independence stops being a choice, it becomes a reflex. None of this means your parents failed you. They gave you what they knew how to give, and you adapted in ways that kept you steady, capable, and respected. But survival strategies don't have to become lifelong rules. You're allowed to pause before fixing everything. You're allowed to let someone else step in. You're allowed to rest without earning it. You're allowed to need. Learning how to receive doesn't make you weak. It means you're updating an old system that was designed for a different time. And the most important thing to remember is this: just because you learned to carry everything alone doesn't mean you were meant to. And it's not too late to learn something new.